Tonight on Business Live, how realistic is the 60 billion cedi revenue target for this year by the Ghana Revenue Authority? We will hear from the Commissioner General. Plus, businesses and consumers to be compelled to sign the new insurance products as the new insurance bill obtains presidential assent. And remembering the late Jerry Rawlings, we take a look at some economic reforms under his administration as he is finally laid in state. Several Ghanaians paying their last respects to him at the Accra International Conference Center. We have more on this plus other business stories coming up shortly after this break. Hello, welcome to the program. I'm Charles Aite. Now, even before the Minister of Finance comes up with the budget statement and economic policy for the government's 2021 fiscal year program, the Ghana Revenue Authority, GRA, has set an ambitious revenue target of 60 billion cedis for the year. According to the Commissioner General, Reverend Amishada Owusu-Amoah, the authority has done all its projections and is hopeful of achieving this target this year. He's been explaining to journalists in a meeting.
We are not stopping the 2021. Whilst we are waiting for the Minister of Finance or the designated Minister of Finance or for the Minister of Finance for that matter to indicate to us the overall budget that we'll have to collect for 2021, we have set ourselves an aggressive target of collecting 60 billion in 2021. This represents about 32% year-on-year increase if we compare to the 45 billion that we collected this year. Definitely, this is an ambitious target, but we have underlying strategies and programs to ensure that we will be able to get to this target. This is, as I said, will be different from the budget that the Ministry of Finance will come out with. In order to be able to achieve this target, we have started some initiatives. For example, we have come out with a new excise tax stamps, and we have started advertising in the papers. And this will have introduced more security features and also make it more difficult for people to create fraudulent ones. And we expect that this will increase the revenues from the excise taxes.
Well, we must add that the authority also exceeded its 2020 revised target of 42 billion Ghana cedis. Away from that, of course, still on issues regarding revenue mobilization, the GRA is developing a device to enable property owners pay their property rate without any challenge. This is part of efforts by the authority to mobilize more revenue from domestic sources. Commissioner General of the GRA, of the Ghana Revenue Authority, Amishada Owusu-Amoah, believes that this will help the country henceforth. There is more in this report. After declaring a 60 billion cedi target for the year, the Ghana Revenue Authority believes the use of technology will be a game changer in meeting the revenue target. The Commissioner explains.
Up for property rates. And we mentioned that same app, we're also going to use it for rent tax. The app is such that it's a software that actually identifies all the properties in the municipality and actually categorize the property into owner-occupied and rented. And you can actually zoom in on the properties and see who owns it and whether. And so the software has been done and currently is being used by the the municipal assemblies. That's the same one we are going to use for the rent tax. And therefore, that will also be rolled out fully this year.
Other initiatives by the authority includes the replacement of the tax identification number to the Ghana card, a collaborative effort with the National Identification Authority.
Come by March, we will be replacing as for the individuals, the tin will be the same as your Ghana card. So we are in collaboration with the National Identification Authority and other relevant stakeholders are working to ensure that we felt from 1st April, the Ghana card become the unique identification number for both the NIA and for your TIN. And taxpayers will therefore be required to use the Ghana card identity number for tax purposes as well. This replacement of identification will enable the organizations share important data and also help identify and also rope in more eligible taxpayers. This will exclude the entities like the corporates and the SMEs because those are not human beings who go and register for TIN. But for the individuals like you and I, that's what we'll do.
High Net Worth Unit has also been established to deal with the tax affairs of high net worth individuals in the country. This is to ensure that all loopholes in the collection system are sealed. Well, businesses and consumers will soon be compelled to sign on to new insurance products as the National Insurance Commission will soon introduce a basket of compulsory insurance products. This follows the passage of the 2020 Insurance Bill, which has finally obtained the President's assent. Deputy Commissioner of Insurance Michael Ando made this revelation to Joy Business at the 2021 Chartered Insurance Institute of Ghana's investiture, which saw the Managing Director of the Metropolitan Life Insurance, Teria Ben Ahmed, succeed Bishop Asante Mafo Ahenkra as the new president of the institute.
Well, there are new provisions in the Act, and they affect regulated entities and other parties, and you need to set effective dates for implementation of those provisions. So those are the transitional arrangements that need to be made for the implementation of the bill.
With regards to the bill and with what you presented to Parliament and subsequently to the President, were there any additions or deductions from what you presented?
Well, we are yet to see the final product that was passed by Parliament. You know, at the final stages, it's taken over by Parliament and they pass it and send it to the President. We are yet to see the very final product that came out. We haven't seen it yet, so I may not be able to comment at this time. But we don't expect any major differences between what we submitted and what has been passed.
Okay, so refresh our minds once again on some of the compulsory insurances you seek to implement going forward.
Well, I think there are compulsory insurance on commercial commercial properties, which is already there. Some of the new ones are professional indemnity for certain professions and occupations, and public liability for certain places and certain trades and occupations.
Well, the new president of the CRIG, Teria Ben Ahmed, says the institute will draw some lessons from the banking sector cleanup to ensure that its members are not found culpable during the insurance sector's recapitalization process.
Thank you very much. We gave our two-year strategy, Defend and Grow, name, and the reason is simple. If you look at what has happened in the not too distant past, you realize that the banking sector suffered a bit of setback, where a number of banks had to lose their license. A number of banks in the banking sector had to go down, following an action of the Bank of Ghana. If you study closely the conversations around what's happened there, corporate governance, risk management, control environment emerged as some of the strong issues that emerged from there. Now, Defend and Grow, the Chartered Insurances of Ghana, is saying that the Defend bucket is saying ensure governance excellence, ensure the constitution supporting the Chartered Insurances of Ghana is fit for purpose in the changing times in which we are, and then ensure that your cash flow and investments are managed by a proper investment policy. So governance excellence will defend the Chartered Insurances of Ghana, and we want to establish a governance excellence reference point for members. We are learning from what is happening in the banking sector so that we set up and improve our governance excellence as a professional body so that our members can learn from it and do better. Because trust me, insurance is a specialized type of service. The trust of insurance is largely dependent on the quality of your governance excellence behind the business. Because you're giving, in essence, insurance is a promise to pay valid claims delightfully and a commitment to provide quality and reliable solutions and services. So if you promise to pay valid claims under a contract you have issued, trust, confidence, integrity of the business cannot be overemphasized. And that is what we are talking about as in governance excellence under the defend bucket of the defend and growth strategy.
Now, government Treasury Bill sale for the third week has been oversubscribed, but this time around in an extraordinary fashion because the sale was done a day after the issuance of the 6-year government bond, which was highly oversubscribed. Charles Nixon has more in this report.
Government was looking to mobilize 1.23 billion cedis for the short-term securities, but got 1.25 billion cedis. This means it secured an extra 16.19 million cedis from the auctioning. That is outstanding because it is coming on the back of the sale of the 6-year government bond a day before, which was oversubscribed by more than 250%. Government is now enthused because it is securing enough funds to repay maturing loans and finance its business. For the 91-day T-bill, the government mobilized a little over 755 million cedis at the same interest rate charge last week. It also secured about 250 million cedis for the 6-month bill, but 355 million cedis for the 1-year bill. The rising sale of Treasury Bill signals growing investment interest in the country about a month and a half after the December elections. Data from the Bank of Ghana indicates that the government Treasury securities were priced lower than the present rate during the early part of last year.
Well, ratings agency Moody's has also re-emphasized that credit stress will persist in sub-Saharan Africa, including Ghana, amid bumpy economic recovery. However, the situation will be worse in certain economies such as Nigeria and South Africa, where default on loans will be very high. Since the emergence of the coronavirus pandemic, Ghanaian banks have reviewed their credit policies in order not to incur high non-performing loans. Aurelien Mali is a member of the Moody's Sub-Saharan Africa Risk Analysis team based in Dubai.
I think it's the right question. 2021, we should see a rebound in growth, but it will be mostly due to the base effect of the comparison with 2020, where you had lockdowns and very low growth. So this number should be taken with a pinch of salt, because the true answer to the strength of the recovery will really be answered by the 2022 growth numbers. Keep in mind also that this economy have a very large informal sector, and we are still not sure how badly they have been affected by the coronavirus outbreak and the global recession that was associated to it. So that element in itself is very important.
Ghana's inflation rate will end this year at an average of 8.5%. That's a projection from the research arm of ratings agency Fitch. Charles Nixon has been looking at the impacts of the average inflation rate on retail and institutional spending.
This will probably come as a good omen for the economy, as average change in prices of goods and services within a period will remain lower than expected. It will, as a result, help consumers and businesses plan effectively, since their disposable income and budget will not be eroded by the anticipated stable inflation. Additionally, a consistent lower and steady inflation plus other improved economic indicators may compel the Bank of Ghana to reduce its policy rate. This accordingly could push lending rate or cost of credit slightly down. Liquidity, consumer and business spending will subsequently be boosted. Senior country risk analyst for Sub-Saharan Africa at Fitch Solutions, William Atwell, has been answering a question by Joy Business on why inflation will be lower and stable this year.
The inflation outlook, inflation's obviously been fairly elevated towards during the second half of last year, and that certainly put a bit of downward pressure on households' spending power. Looking ahead to this year, we're expecting inflation to average around 8.5%, which is sort of lower than the final months of last year. That's going to support household incomes, of course.
Inflation remained within the 9 and 10% bracket for the greater part of last year. According to the Ghana Statistical Service, financial services, recreation, sports and culture, and education services inflation remained very low in 2020.
Well, now to a story that all of us are relating to. The body of the former president, Rawlings, has been laid in state at the Accra International Conference Center. Rawlings, who died in November 2020, leaves behind not just fond memories and legacies as the former leader of Ghana's First Republic, but also a huge instrument to the economic growth of Ghana. On your screen now, some of the biggest economic reform. But first of all, you could see at the Accra International Conference Center where his body has been laid in state. Of course, we're going to be having so many people file past that. But let us take a closer look at the reforms that he was able to ignite during his administration. We're talking about the Economic Recovery Program of 1983. It was formed to get the prices right, by devaluing the exchange rate, increasing real interest rates, also to reduce the fiscal deficit sufficiently to eliminate the need for printing money. It was very crucial back then, as well to liberalize the economy, including the foreign sector, by encouraging markets to function. Also, we can talk about the Vision 2020 initiative, which ended last year. It is envisaged that by 2020, which was last year, Ghana would have achieved a middle-income country status, of which we are, and a standard of living to the present level in Singapore, which we still not are. Of course, those were the bloom years of the Asian tigers, and upstarts like Ghana looked at Southeastern Asia with envy. So whenever we're talking of Jerry Rawlings, it wasn't just about, the military junta, but also his stark economic recovery program that, set Ghana apart when it comes to having to get there economically and independently as a nation. We shall be keeping an eye on the filing past event at the Accra International Conference Center. As you could see on your screen, a very busy day there for not just the Rawlingses, but the entire country, as we have lost a leader. But, there is a double test obligation moving to the aviation sector for passengers traveling from Ghana to the Netherlands. The PCR test as well as the antigen test. Now, the rapid test must be taken no more than 4 hours before departure. This is in addition to the existing obligation to perform a PCR test 72 hours before departure. I start with the Managing Director for KLM Ghana, Dick Van Leeuwensen, on this development story, plus other issues regarding the aviation industry.
Well, last week we heard this news about, proposed speculation, if that could be, about KLM suspending some particular flights, if not to Ghana, some specific countries as well. We also heard about the Netherlands, imposing temporary travel bans on specific countries. Regarding the long-haul flights, we do know that currently this has been suspended. You're now going long-haul flights. It hasn't been suspended in that nature. But yet again, Ghanaian travelers are concerned about the additional flight protocols they would have to adhere to in order to embark on your airline. Can you explain to us what particular additional measures are you putting in place?
Yeah, it is last week, Tuesday, the Dutch government announced a travel ban as per starting as Friday evening at 12 o'clock. There is a travel ban between the UK and the Netherlands. You're talking about air.
Sure.
South America, the Netherlands, and South Africa and the Netherlands. Another measure which they have imposed was that every passenger entering the Netherlands or transiting via the Netherlands needed a second test, a second antigen test. Now, that implemented that all passengers boarding here our flights going to Amsterdam or via Amsterdam to final destination, they will need a COVID-19 test, a negative COVID-19 test not older than 72 hours, and they need an antigen test, which is not allowed to be older than 4 hours before departure. Now, that created some impact. We heard the news Tuesday evening on the press conference of our Prime Minister. And it was also meant that all crew of KLM would be tested also. And then KLM started to object. Because if you test all crew, it can be that one of the crew members will be tested positive. Now, if that is the case, the crew member is not allowed to join the flight back to Amsterdam. And he or she should stay home. Now that was not allowed or not practically not used, because that means the crew will leave and just one crew member will stay behind.
But that's basic, COVID-19 protocols that, these are unusual times.
Yeah, correct. But there are other facilities. So what has been decided now, that the crew will be tested upon arrival, not before departure, but upon arrival. So the crew will still be tested for COVID. And the passengers need to do a second antigen test before boarding the aircraft.
That was KLM Managing Director for Ghana there, helping us understand the new reforms on boarding their flight. It means you have to get a PCR test as well as an antigen test. The question remains, will Ghanaian travelers be able to afford this particular new directive? We shall be keeping an eye on this to give you updates subsequently. But in today's edition of Money Lab, the Executive Director of Financial Literacy for Africa, Dr. Richmond Kwame Frimpong, educates us on blocking leakages on income to be financially sound. Take a listen.
On Money Lab today, I want to welcome you to our session on financial wellness. We are rounding up on the income side of financial wellness today. And today we want to say that to do well financially on the income side, try to block every leakage on your income side. The leakages on your income side are the things that take away money from you with or without your permission. When was the last time you checked your bank account and took a good look at the charges on that savings account? So you have multiple accounts and you barely use all of them, but it is having a toll on your income. When you do that, you bring in and it goes out without your notice. Block that leakage. How about the other person who has had a premium or an insurance account and there is a direct debit on that account? It's a life or it's a general insurance account and you keep paying and paying and paying, but you've never even bothered if it applies to you and what you said you wanted to do. You are probably assuming it's an investment. Block that leakage, and if it's possible to revise the premium and the direct debits, please do, so that the charges come to you as income. How about the other person who also on his income is paying for things online that he could have bought in a shop, but he just wants to buy it online? Remember that when you do any of these things cited, there will be a toll on your incomes, and those deductions may not be visible. At the end of the day, you'll be working hard for the incomes and they'll be going out as charges. Block them and your financial wellness on income side will be good to go.
Well, that'll be all for Business Live. For me, Charles, IT, and the rest of the team, many thanks for watching.